This perp back with another video, and I got the pleasure of checking out this brand new show called The Baby. Not The Baby, like the rapper, but The Baby on HBO Max. I just randomly came across this watching the horror shows. They were premiering this segment where they just react to a bunch of different trailers, and this popped up, and I was like, oh, this comes out now. This is out right now. So I went to go check out the first episode. These are my first initial thoughts of this episode. I'm definitely going to check this out and probably review this week to week because it's only 8 episodes. It's a limited series, so I can watch it all and just move on. But this was a very good pilot. We have our main character, Natasha. She, doesn't have any kids. She is pretty much on her own, but her friends are all having kids. But before we get into Natasha's character, let me talk about this opening, because this opening scene that we get is really a good tone setter for this whole entire series. So you have this chick in I think she was wearing like a raincoat or something like that, or just a yellow coat, and she was holding something in like a duffel bag. Now it's crazy that I think about it. And she's running away from the cops, and she gets close to this edge, right? And the cops just pull up on her and just say like, yo, look, stop what you're doing, take whatever you got out the bag, open the bag, somewhere along the lines of that. Anyways, she opens up the bag and it ends up being a goddamn baby. I'm like, God damn, why do you have a baby in a whole duffel bag? Oh man, this shit, it was wild. That baby is crazy. But once she puts the baby down, the baby starts to crawl towards her, and she keeps backing up closer and closer to this to the edge of this cliff, or just she's about to fall pretty much. And she falls, and we don't really see where her body lands. Keep that in mind. And the baby almost gets saved by the cops, but ends up falling down as well. It was a wild opening. So then we get introduced to Natasha's character. Going back to her real name is something else. It's like Lydia something that gets revealed later. But anyways, like I said, she is pretty much to herself. She lives by herself. She's like a chef, which is really cool. And you see it earlier on in this episode where the disconnect with her and her friends are starting to kind of form. Like, these used to be her 2 closest best friends, but now one's got a baby, and then another one's got a baby on the way that's like, she's like 3 months pregnant or something like that. And it's interesting how that whole bit came about, because I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, not just only like women, but also dudes. Like, for me, like all my friends, they got kids at this point. I'm the only one right now that don't got a kid. I know a couple friends that don't got kids, but like I could see that. And she really doesn't care for babies at all. They have a scene where she goes through social media, and all she sees is her friends and people that she knows have babies and stuff like that. And then she gets to this was an interesting shot too. Like, I know it's somewhere in the UK. I had to look this up. But you get to this like little house that's, away from like kind of society, away from actual people. It's like directly on the beach to where like this shore is. It's really interesting. It's just like, this is the only house here that's just kind of convenient. I guess she was just house sitting. And then all of a sudden, as she is going outside, she sees the body fall. Like what we see the girl in the beginning of the episode where she fell, that happened at that moment. And then she sees a baby, and the baby just ends up falling out of the fucking sky. It was wild though, because that's a crazy kind of scenario. Just imagine that. Imagine just seeing somebody just fall to you're not even paying attention, you're not even noticing it, but you just see a body just thud, boom, you just got to be in shock, man. I'd be in shock, and then like you just catch this baby. That's wild. And by the way, this baby is ugly as hell. I don't care what nobody say. You might think that's mean, but this baby is the baby from hell. You could see that. You know, the cops try to come question her about it, and you know what I'm saying, and try to get as much info. She doesn't really want the baby, so the baby ends up going with the cops, but then the cops like run their car into this like piece of stone or some shit like that, or this boulder, and another boulder falls on them. So there's definitely something up with this baby. I know it's the baby from hell because anytime this baby is around, people die. But it has somewhat of an attachment to Natasha's character for some odd reason. Maybe similar to how the person that died originally that had the baby. We'll probably get more of that, or more of that backstory, and probably see what will happen to Natasha, or if it's something different going to happen with her character. But yeah, so she pretty much gets stuck with this baby, and she's just kind of thinking about things over and ends up just turning in the baby, but not knowing that she kind of just left behind a crime scene. And this is where she gets kind of questioned at the station about what were you doing at these specific times? Why are there like dead policemen and just overall a lot of these dead bodies popping up here and here? You have to answer for this. It was crazy too. She had this like nightmare of her having to breastfeed this baby, and the baby like biting off a nipple or some shit. That shit was crazy. I was just like, wow. I was like, that would have been a crazy dream to have. And then she gets released. She's able to go back to her house, do what she needs to do. But then the baby ends up popping up at her front door, and that's how pretty much the episode ends. But like I said, this was a really dope first episode, a good pilot, because I want to see where this goes and where does this baby come from? Is it have a like kind of like a mind of its own? Because I don't know if there's something supernatural or if the baby's just bad luck and it chooses certain people for some odd reason. That's just really creepy. This is definitely labeled as a horror comedy. I could definitely see the humor in it because the way the baby just looks at Natasha is just, it's funny as fuck. I enjoyed the first episode. I might have to go watch this again. Let me know if you've seen this. Let me know your thoughts about the first episode and where they could possibly take this whole entire series. How you think it's going to end. You think Natasha's going to be able to survive these 8 episodes? We got 7 left to go, so we'll have to wait and see. But until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.